And happy Mother's Day to all who have mothered another in some way, shape, or form. You know who you are, and you are appreciated by so many people. So let's start our service with our ever-popular Spirit of Life, sung by Jeff Lovejoy, and anyone else who's in the congregation hall here with me today. We're going to start singing Spirit of Life. Thank you. Again, welcome to our fellowship this Sunday morning on Mother's Day. I'm joined today by Jim McDermott, who's behind the camera. Ray is off to my left, he's our sound guy. And I've got Catherine Hemmons safely at a distance who will be joining us soon. And behind the scenes is Jay Gutler, who has put all of this together for our enjoyment this morning. So we do have a few announcements. Number one, there is a board meeting this Tuesday, the 12th at 3:30. If you want to join us on Zoom, send us an email and Ray will send you an invite. There's a reminder also of our annual general meeting on June 7th. This is held as per our bylaws. We have to have an annual meeting, and it's always the first Sunday in June. And it will be on Zoom, and everyone will get an invite, and we hope you'll join us for that. We're going to review the past year. We're going to talk about our future. We will discuss next year's budget, the elections, community partners, among other items. So we welcome everybody to be a part of that. At the Zoom meeting this Sunday at noon, after our service, Ray and I will stay on the call later in case anybody has any questions about the budget, okay? So we hope to see you on the Zoom call at noon today. Stay later if you'd like to ask questions about the budget. And finally, if you have any announcements you want us to share next week, send us an email. So at this time, as Catherine makes her way safely to the front to light our chalice, I will offer you these words. We ignite this flame, symbol of our faith, to beckon us into community, warm our hearts with love, and give us a light to follow as we carry our faith into action. This morning, our offertory, as you will recall in a couple of the e-blasts I've sent out, is Boys and Girls Club. But I just want you to know I delivered to Food Share a check, or checks I should say, from all of you who have made contributions to Florence Food Share in January, February, March, and April. And they were so appreciative of the funds that have been received, and I thank everyone who made those contributions, either through PayPal, through a check directly to us. Really, really appreciate that. So this month and next month, our community partner is Boys and Girls Club of Western Lane County. The money we raise for Boys and Girls Club stays right here in Florence. And I know you've read the lovely letter from Chuck Trent. He's the executive director. And I hope it'll stir you into action to donate to that club, which is a home away from home for so many kids in this particular community. As well, we trust you'll remember to give back to this fellowship, your pledge payment of support or your general contribution. Visit our website and click on the donate button. It's really easy. Many of you are doing this right now as opposed to putting something in the mail or waiting for later. So click that donate button and you can donate your pledge or contribution. You can even designate some of it to go to Boys and Girls Club and some to go to Food Share, to FOF, and we'll make sure we take that into consideration and divide those up accordingly. Or if you want, you can always add to your jar that maybe you're keeping at home on your kitchen counter, and add to that and bring it back to us when we safely return to this particular fellowship. We've got a nice hymn to share today. Jeff Lovejoy has created another one from our hymnal. It's called Here We Have Gathered. So gather around wherever you are virtually. We're going to gather here in this particular fellowship. We're going to enjoy this wonderful hymn from Jeff. It's called Here We Have Gathered.
Good morning, everyone. I'm very happy to be here today. As Unitarian Universalists, we believe it is important that we take care of each other. When we care for each other, our connections become stronger. The interconnectedness of us all is actually part of our seventh principle. Sharing good times and bad help us to be more caring people, and being caring people is one way we are you every day, not just Sunday. We share our good and bad times in a ritual during service called Joys and Concerns. A joy is something that's happened to make us happy, at peace, loved. A concern, it's an event that's worried, sad, depressed, just out of touch. What are some of the reasons we share? So we can comfort and help each other. And so we can celebrate. There are still things to celebrate during this time, and we need to acknowledge them. Keeping each other informed of important events in our lives, we feel closer, and we can think of ways to assist each other. So take a chance this week. Reach out for someone. Tell them what's going on with your life, or pick up the phone and reach out to ask someone what's going on with their life. We might be able to help someone if we've gone through a difficult time that's similar, or often it's just we need to be listened to. Deep listening is so important. And when we can give that to someone else, it's beautiful. Some of us might not have close families and friends to share with, so our community is of the utmost importance, especially now. Last week, for instance, we heard from Ann Lathrop, who sends thanks to everyone who participates in our Sunday service and who brings it to, everyone that organizes and brings it to us. Thank you, Ann. It is a work in progress every week. I want to quote for her, "It is a wonderful break in the week of isolation to share the service and then the Footh Cafe hour afterward. She also sends an idea of a virtual hug. When you're wanting to call someone, when you call someone up, have a soft pillow next to you and ask them to have a soft pillow next to them. Take that pillow, hug it, pretending it's the other person. That's a virtual hug. Now you may laugh, but I tried it and it does feel very good. And it makes you laugh, which is something we need right now and always. Today is Mother's Day. That is a joy. No matter what kind of relationship you had or have with your mother, she is the initial vehicle for your life. Bless that event. Here we are. And we've all loved and mothered something or some sentient being in our life. And bless that thoughtful action. Is there something that's happened recently? Is there something that you're happy or concerned about, or just something you need to communicate? If so, send an email to our site or call our care line. The number is 541-590-2656, and someone will get back to you. Next, I'm going to share a reading that Kari Gottfried selected for us today. She is going to refer to this reading during her service, during her talk today. I'm going to tell you it is a beautiful reading. I'm going to put it on my wall, and I could have used it this week, and I know I'll use it many times. It's titled "The Holy Work of Showing Up" by Ashley Horan. How is it with your soul? This is the question that John Wesley, Anglican priest and the founder of Methodism, was known to ask of participants in small reflection groups. I ask you because for me, this has been a hard week. So, beloveds, how is it with your souls? If your response to that question is anything like mine, I want to invite you to pause. Take a breath. Say a prayer, sing a song, light your chalice, feel the force of gravity pulling us all toward the same center. Whatever helps you feel more rooted and less alone. Now do it again. And maybe again. And once you feel that rootedness and connection, hear this. You are loved beyond belief. You are enough. You are precious. Your work and your life matter. And you are not alone. You are part of a we, a great cloud of witnesses, living and dead, who have insisted that this beautiful, broken world of ours is a blessing worthy of both deep gratitude and fierce protection. Our ancestors and our descendants are beckoning us, compelling us onward toward greater connection, greater compassion, greater commitment to one another and to the earth. Together, we are resilient and resourceful enough to say yes to that call, to make it our life's work in 1,000 different ways. Knowing that we can do no other than bind ourselves more tightly together and throw ourselves into the holy work of showing up. Again and again, we do this to be part of building that world which we dream of, but which we have not yet seen. Thank you. Thank you, Kari. So before Kari graces us with her presence, we will have a musical interlude by our beloved Jeff Lovejoy. And this is an original composition entitled Constellations.
Welcome. My name is Kari Gottfried and I'm your guest preacher this weekend. Now, wherever you are watching this from, whatever time it is, however your week has been, you are welcome here. The reading you just heard is called The Holy Work of Showing Up, and it is by the Reverend Ashley Horan. She wrote that in 2016, which no doubt was a hard year. I find myself thinking back to 2016, or even just a year ago, and remembering the despair I felt about the world. Maybe you did too. Now imagine going back to that self and telling them what the world is like now. Can you imagine? I think a lot about that. I think about how I've preached on the pain and suffering in the world, on the injustices that happen every single day. And I remember the first time I thought about this topic, a year after Ashley Horan invoked John Wesley's question, "How is it with your soul?" It was in July of 2017 when I traveled to Chicago to participate in a program called Summer Seminary. Summer Seminary is designed to expose Unitarian Universalist youth to potential careers as religious professionals. It ended with a preach-on where we were each given a prompt and a day to write a short homily in response. My prompt, "How can you give hope to the hopeless?" was my call to ministry. When I preached that day, it became the basis for my core message and even my own personal theology. I'm just finishing up my online classes this week. Definitely not the way I expected the end of my first year of college to go, but here we are. After finals, I have 2 weeks with absolutely zero obligations before I begin my summer internship at the First Unitarian Universalist congregation of Ann Arbor. And I've been thinking about how I wanted to spend that time. And I decided that I want to spend it really intentionally. I want to ask myself every day, how is it with my soul? Now, spirituality comes more naturally to some UUs than to others. Because we draw on a multitude of sources, each of us experiences our own spirituality very differently. For years, I struggled with the idea of spiritual practice. I had never really understood what it meant for Unitarian Universalists. Now, if you don't have a spiritual practice, or if you're looking for a new one, it might be hard to figure out where to start. After all, there are hundreds of named spiritual practices, but I believe that there are an infinite number of spiritual practices, because it isn't so much about the action itself as the intention behind it. Denny Davidoff, a former moderator of the Unitarian Universalist Association, said that her spiritual practice was to take time to consciously acknowledge the gift of life, most every day. My favorite podcast, Harry Potter and the Sacred Text, turns reading the Harry Potter books into a spiritual practice. And many cultures have coffee or tea ceremonies that can transform the simple daily activity into a meaningful ritual. So, how do you turn the ordinary into the extraordinary? How do you find a way to answer the question, how is it with your soul? I find that my framework comes from the mission of my home congregation, the UU Fellowship of Corvallis. Just 3 simple words guide all that we do. Explore, love, act. I believe that those 3 words can be a helpful framework to envision the practice of being spiritual and figuring out what works best for each of us. Now, starting with explore. As Unitarian Universalists, we don't believe that there is an end to all we can learn about the universe. Our revelation is not sealed. And as we explore, we can uncover so many new truths about the world, if only we pay attention. Our sources as Unitarian Universalists include the words and deeds of prophetic people. which challenge us to confront powers and structures of evil with justice, compassion, and the transforming power of love. Of course, these prophetic people are theologians, justice leaders, and wise ancestors. But I challenge you to expand your idea of prophetic. A prophet thinks about the world and how we may change, hopefully for the better. Who are the prophets in your life? Another one of our sources calls us to recognize the direct experience of that transcending mystery and wonder affirmed in all cultures, which moves us to a renewal of the spirit and an openness to the forces which create and uphold life. Mystery and wonder. A few weeks ago, I used T. Thorncoyle's description of this pandemic, the Great Unraveling. Today, I borrow what Reverend Elia Kemmler calls the Great Silence. She says that in these pandemic days, I am trying to attend to the world differently. Maybe it's easier because right now there is so much less to look at and listen to. Spring is slow to arrive here, so I am watching the purple crocuses finally push their way through the muddy ground. Mystery and wonder. Exploration. Even as parts of the world come to a standstill, other parts still continue. The crocuses rise from the dirt, unaware of face masks and 6 feet apart. Take this time of great silence and pay attention. By doing this, we can deepen our connections to ourselves and to each other. We have a chance to explore all of the gifts the world has to offer us. And at the same time, this time of great silence gives us a chance to share our gifts. The Reverend Dr. Rebecca Ann Parker says that your gifts, whatever you discover them to be, can be used to bless or curse the world. And a blessing is a manifestation of the second part of this message, love. In many of the religious traditions that we draw from, to bless is to love. Christianity teaches us about loving our neighbors as ourselves. Buddhism reminds us to wish loving kindness on others. Now, blessing, like worship, spirit, and yes, even God, are words that Unitarian Universalists may have difficult relationships with. Some of you may hear the word blessing and be reminded of a faith that you left, one that may have harmed you in some way, or one that you never claimed as your own. It can be hard to think about blessing when it comes with all of those other meanings surrounding it too. But I offer a wholly Unitarian Universalist view of blessing. A blessing is a sharing of humanity, a gift of grace, a chance to connect with the spark of divinity within each of us. We all have different beliefs on the real impact of blessing. Some believe that blessings are a prayer to a higher being, to pay special attention to the blessed, and to guide them on their journey. Others may believe that the practice of blessing sends goodwill into the universe, reverberating throughout space and time to reach the person who needs it most. But whether you believe these things or not, a blessing is a chance for you to keep love in your heart. The simple act of thinking well towards others has real chemical effects on your own happiness. So take a moment to think of the people you love in your life and send them love. Take a moment to think of the people you are frustrated by in your life and send them love. Take a moment to think of people that you probably haven't thought of since you last interacted with them and send them love. Because isn't that what's at the core of our faith? Blessing? Choosing to bless the world and make it the place that we want to live in is what we as Unitarian Universalists should be striving for every day. Act is the third part of our mission. And though our actions may be more limited these days, this part is more important than ever. We have been reminded time and time again over the past few years that now is not the time for a casual faith. Being a Unitarian Universalist means that you believe that courageous love can transform the world. Give what you can to this community and to our faith and reap its benefits. Live your values out loud and be proud to be a UU. My college roommate isn't a UU, but she's what I call UU adjacent. Becoming my roommate wasn't her first introduction to our faith. She has marched with the Dallas UU Church at Pride for years, enveloped by a sea of sunshine yellow Side with Love t-shirts. These people in Dallas, whether they realized it or not, are the reason that at least one person in this world associates our faith with belonging and community. Marching in Pride, showing up at a vigil for gun violence, and participating in a climate strike are important things to do. But doing those things while unequivocally stating, I am here because I am a Unitarian Universalist and these are my values, is the way to transform the justice and liberation work many of us do as individuals into the movement of a faith working to build beloved community. Of course, I say this at a time when the most important action you can take right now is to not go out. The senior minister of the First Unitarian Church of Des Moines wrote a message to Vice President Mike Pence after he announced that he would be traveling to Iowa to discuss opening up places of worship again. Reverend Amy Petrie Shaw wrote that we are the church. Even when we are not in our building, and we need no public meetings to be the church in the world, we are united in one body. So maybe until this pandemic has run its course, don't go out. In the name of Unitarian Universalist. In the name of a faith that is guided in these times by science, public health information, and reason. And there are still ways that you can act. Last time I was here, we talked about community care in the name of this fellowship and Unitarian Universalism. How are you acting through our values? Are you reaching out to those in your community who may need a little extra help? Are you supporting local businesses and nonprofits who continue to need your generosity? Are you taking what you need when you need it and sharing what you don't? How are you choosing to show up in this world right now? Explore. Pay attention. Look deeper. Love. Use your gifts to bless the world. Act. Live every day as a Unitarian Universalist. There are days where you may fall short. Days where you ignore your people and the world, where you hurt someone, where you choose complacency over progress. But as Reverend Robert Eller Isaacs reminds us, we must forgive ourselves and each other and begin again in love. If you can do that, begin again in love and remember what it is in your spirit. If you can ask yourself how it is with your soul, then maybe along with our suffering, we can begin to find healing.
Kari Gottfried, God love her. You know, she's an intelligent young woman and on her way to some UU greatness. And I'm so pleased and proud of her. I'm glad that she's a part of our fellowship. We wish you well this summer, Kari, and hopefully we can get you back here in Florence, if not virtually, maybe in person in the next few months. Thank you for your message. So as Catherine makes her way to extinguish our chalice flame, I offer the following words from Maureen Killoran. Catherine, would you like to extinguish this as I... This is the message of our faith: to act with passion in the face of injustice, to love with courage in the midst of life's pain. This is the meaning of our chalice flame. May it empower our hearts until we are together again. I now invite Ray to play our peace song, sung by Jeff, and I know Catherine's going to sing out loud as we're taping this. I will too, but I'll do it softly so I don't interfere with the beautiful voice of Ms. Hemmons and Jeff Lovejoy. So Ray, let's conclude with our peace song. Thank you, Catherine. Thank you, Ray. Sorry, Jim, I couldn't have you singing back there. You were too close to the camera, and I'm not sure you could sing on tune. But that's okay.
Yeah.
We take what we get, right?
Our feelings aren't hurt.
His feelings aren't hurt. So in closing our service today, I found the following words of comfort, and they're by Joel Miller. Let our lives be a prayer that waters dry souls, mends broken hearts, refuses to be terrorized, seeks this world's beauty, and carries us through its storms. Blessed be, amen, and I look forward to seeing you all at noon on Zoom. Remember, we'll stay later, Ray and I will, and we'll answer any questions you have about this complicated budget we're putting out there. And look forward to seeing you at noon. Thank you, everybody. Have a good day.